What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist Integrity doing a Blackluster Soldier deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this one for you guys because this deck is an extremely nostalgic deck that's super fun to be able to play and is based around one of the coolest boss monsters ever created, the Blackluster Soldier. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name scratched in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Blackluster Soldier, Legendary Swordsman. This card is a definite 2-of boss monster in the deck, and a card we're trying to summon as quickly as possible to our side of the field. This card is a really cool ability that during your draw phase, before you draw, you can actually reveal this card in your hand and give up your normal draw this turn, and if you do, add a ritual spell from your deck to your hand, which is a crazy powerful effect to instantly get to your ritual spell so you can summon out this card. And your opponent cannot activate cards or effects during the battle phase, and when this attacking card that was ritual summoned using a normal monster destroys an opponent's monster at battle, you can actually shuffle all cards your opponent controls back into the deck, which is an insane ability to completely board wipe your opponent by just destroying a monster by battle, which is super easy to actually ritual summon this card using a normal monster because we have cards like Super Soldier Synthesis in this deck. We then play a single copy of Blackluster Soldier, Super Soldier. Super Soldier is a really good 1-of in the build, and I absolutely love this card because it actually does burn damage, which is super cool. And if this card destroys an opponent's monster at battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to the monster's attack in the graveyard, which is a great ability, even if you destroy a monster that's in defense position, to do damage. I love this card in the deck, and it's just a really good 1-of because it's so easy to search. We then play 2 copies of one of the most powerful boss monsters ever created, and that's going to be 2 copies of Blackluster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning. This card is very easy to summon out to the side of the field by just banishing a light and a dark monster from the graveyard, which is super easy and actually beneficial with the mini knights in this deck. This card is a really cool ability that you can activate one of these 2 effects per turn, but only one of the 2 effects. You can't get both because it has the ability to target a monster on the field and banish that target face up, but it cannot attack or activate this effect again in the turn or during the damage step. If this attacking card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, it can make a second attack in a row, so it can just attack basically 2 monsters, which is insane on a 3000 attack point boss monster. We then play 3 copies of Beginning Knight. Beginning Knight is really cool as a 3-of in the build because this card has an insane ability that a Blackluster Soldier monster that's ritual summoned using this card gains the ability that once per turn you can target a monster your opponent controls and banish it, and when this card destroys an opponent's monster at battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can activate this effect that this card can make a second attack in a row, which is a really cool ability. And if this card is banished from the graveyard, you can actually add a ritual spell from your deck to your hand, which is a really cool effect to be able to use, especially with cards like your Blackluster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning. We then play 3 copies of Evening Twilight Knight. Evening Twilight is definitely a 3-of to go along with our copy of Beginning Knight because this card has the ability a Blackluster Soldier ritual monster using this card as a material to be able to ritual summon it out to your side of the field gains these abilities that once per turn you can target a monster your opponent controls and banish it, and once per turn you can banish a random card from your opponent's hand face down until your opponent's next end phase, which is a great effect to basically just banish a card out of your opponent's hand, which is insane. And if this card is banished from the grave, you can actually add a ritual monster from your deck to your hand, which is going to search out our boss monsters, which is really cool. We then play 3 copies of Manju. Manju is really good as a 3-of in the deck because this card is actually our best normal summon to search out a ritual monster or ritual spell when it's summoned to your side of the field, which is great to search out one of our Blackluster Soldier ritual monsters or ritual spell to be able to summon it to our side of the field, essentially getting us the exact piece we need to be able to summon out one of our boss monsters. Plus, this card is a level 4, which is really beneficial in the deck, especially with the other engine we're playing in the build, which is going to be actually a Bestial engine engine, starting off with 3 copies of Lubellion. Lubellion is great as a 3-of in the build because this card has a great ability that if this card is in your hand or grave, you can actually tribute a level 6 or higher Dark Dragon monster to special summon this card, and it also has the ability that you can actually send this card from your hand to the graveyard to add a bestial monster from your deck to your hand, and when this card's on your side of the field, you can place a branded continuous spell or trap from your deck face up on the field, which is always going to be branded beasts that you're going to put on your side of the field with this card's ability, because you can use your copy of Saunier to send your copy of Branded Regain from your deck to the graveyard, and then use your copy of Branded Beast to put Branded Regain on your side of the field, which is really amazing. We then play a single copy of Magnamut. Magnamut is really good in the deck as a 1-of, and all of your level 6 bestial monsters share a common effect that you can target a light or a dark monster in either graveyard and banish it, and if you do, special summon this card from your hand, and it's a quick effect if your opponent controls a monster. But this card is a super unique ability that if this card is special summoned, you can activate this effect that during the end phase of this turn, add a dragon monster from your deck or grave to hand, which is a great ability to get to other bestial monsters. We then play a single copy of Druid's Worm. Druid's Worm is just really good to spot remove cards off the field, and a single copy of Saunier. Saunier is also really good in the deck as a 1-of because this card is really insane, because if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can send a bestial monster or a branded spell or trap from your deck to the grave, which is always going to be your copy of Branded Regain you're going to send to the graveyard off this card's ability. But these are really good in the deck because you can actually banish the mini knights off their ability, which is going to help you get a search that basically when you summon them, these cards are almost like Stratos for the deck, because you're going to get a summon off of a 2500 attack point monster while also getting a search off of one of the mini knights, which is insane, and I love that about this deck. I really like the bestial package in the deck, and it just adds so much utility to this build. We then play a single copy of Chaos Valkyria. This card is really easy to summon to your side of the field, because to be able to summon this card, all you have to do is banish a light or a dark monster from your graveyard. To be able to special summon this card from your hand, just giving you an additional option to be able to banish your copies of your mini knights, which is really nice. We then play a single copy of Darkblade. Darkblade is nice in this deck because you can use this card in the build to be able to send to the graveyard from the deck or from your hand with Super Soldier Synthesis, which is really cool to be able to use with Synthesis to be able to ritual summon out one of our ritual monsters, to use a normal monster for your copy of Legendary Swordsman to give it its bonus effect, which is so cool about this card, and I love being able to play such a nostalgic card in this build. We then play 2 copies of Gandarla and 2 copies of Gameciel, because sometimes you need to give your opponent the turtle, but this is really good in the deck to be able to play these kaijus, because if you go second in this build, you can basically hand your opponent a kaiju and then swing into it with your Legendary Swordsmaster, which is really cool to be able to just instantly get through a monster, have a safe target to attack into, and go in and shuffle everything on your opponent's field back into the deck, which is just really cool. Plus, he's out a lot of boss monsters, so it's really awesome to be able to ritual summon out your Legendary Swordsman, and then once you do, you kaiju the opponent, or kaiju the opponent first, and then summon out your Legendary Swordsman, swing into the kaiju, and then once you do, shuffle everything back into the deck. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Rhoda. Rhoda is really good in the deck because we play a bunch of warriors in the deck that we want to search, so this card is really good as a 1-of in the deck. We then play a single copy of Terraforming. Terraforming is really good in the build as a 1-of to be able to search out our awesome field spell, Gateway to Chaos. Speaking of Chaos, we also play a single copy of Chaos Space. Chaos Space is really good to help us search out the exact Chaos monster we need, like our copy of Envoy the Beginning, or our copy of Lubellion, which is really nice to be able to use with this card. We then play a single copy of Branded Regain. Branded Regain is definitely a 1-of to be able to work with our copy of Saunier to send this card to the graveyard, and has the ability if a light or a dark monster is banished, except during the damage step, you can target one of those monsters and place that monster on the bottom of the deck, and if you do, draw a card, which is a really cool ability to use with this card. And also, once per turn, if your opponent normal or special summons a monster except during the damage step, you can actually target a bestial monster in the graveyard and special summon it, which is a really cool effect to be able to use with this card. We then play a single copy of Super Soldier Ritual. I feel like 1 is really all you need for this card, and it's just a great ritual spell to help us summon out our Blackluster Soldier Ritual monsters. We then play 3 copies of Super Soldier Synthesis. Synthesis is definitely a 3-of in the build. This card is the best ritual spell in the entire deck because this card has the ability, this card can be used to ritual summon any Blackluster Soldier ritual monster from your hand or graveyard. And you must also send a light and a dark monster, one from your hand and one from your deck to the graveyard, whose total level equal exactly 8, which is very easy to do in this deck to be able to send your copy of Darkblade from your hand or your deck to the graveyard plus a light monster that equals 8, which is going to be one of your mini knights, which is just so cool to be able to instantly do that, to be able to go in for your plays. I love how easy it is because we do play multiple light level 4 monsters in the deck, but it's really easy to send your copy of your beginning knight and your copy of your Darkblade. I love being able to send your copy of Darkblade and the copy of the beginning knight to the graveyard, having one of these 2 cards in your hand and one of these 2 cards in the deck to be able to use your copy of Super Soldier Synthesis. It's just so easy to be able to ritual summon, and it's so cool to be able to do that because it instantly gives you that normal monster to ritual summon at your Blackluster Soldier, which just makes it so it has its bonus effect. We then play 3 copies of Gateway to Chaos. Gateway to Chaos is great in the deck as a 3-of because when this card is activated, you add a Blackluster Soldier ritual monster from your deck to your hand, which is going to be amazing. This card is basically Rhoda for the deck to be able to get to your ritual monster. We then play 3 copies of Interrupted Kaiju Slumber. Interrupted Kaiju Slumber is really cool as a 3-of, just to board wipe your opponent's monsters, give your opponent a Kaiju, we get a Kaiju, and then we can ritual summon out our monsters, which is really cool because the board is clear. But this card is really good in the deck overall, just to destroy as many monsters on the field as possible and give your opponent a Kaiju and we get a Kaiju, basically being like Dark Hole. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're just going to be playing one, and that's going to be a single copy of Branded Beast. Branded Beast is really good as a 1-of because once per turn during the main phase, if you control a bestial monster, you contribute a dragon monster and then target 1 card your opponent controls and destroy it, giving you a pop, which is really nice. And also during the end phase, you can target a Branded Continuous Spell Trap in the graveyard and place it on the field, which is always going to be your copy of Branded Regain that you're going to put on your side of the field with this card's ability, which is really cool to be able to do to instantly get that copy of Branded Regained on the field. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, guys, we're going to start with a single copy of Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. This card is really good as a 1-of in the deck, because if this card is link summon using a level 7 or higher monster as a material, your opponent cannot target it with card effects, and also it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects either. And when this card destroys an opponent's monster in a battle, you can activate one of the 3 effects that this card has, that either this card gains 1500 attack, can make a second attack during the following battle phase, or just banish your card off the field non-targeting, which is so cool. This card is very easy to summon in the deck, and it's very easy to actually put a level 7 or higher into this card with the Bestial package in this build, and it's just a really cool card overall. We then play a single copy of Access Code. Access Code's great in the deck as a 1-of to be able to summon out to her side of the field. It comes out absolutely massive. It's just a fantastic link monster that just pops multiple cards on the field. Play a single copy of Nightmare Unicorn to spin stuff, 1 copy of the Dark Charmer, and a single copy of the Light Charmer, because we do play a light and dark in the deck to help us link climb, and they're just really good options overall. 1 copy of SP Little Knight. You don't have to play this card, but it's a really good double interruption. But if you don't want to play this card, you can play something else instead, like a copy of Mech Knight Crusadia Avermax, Underworld Goddess, or any rank 4 or rank 8 monster you want to play instead of this card. Play a single copy of IP Masquerena. IP is really good overall to help us make our copy of SP Little Knight or Nightmare Unicorn during the opponent's turn. You can also play Nightmare Phoenix over your copy of SP Little Knight if you want to, which is another option for you guys. We then play a single copy of Alamirage. Alamirage is really good in the deck to be able to normal summon out one of the mini knights, link it away for this card so it's in the graveyard so we can banish it to get that search, which is just really cool to be able to do. 1 copy of Chaos Angel. It's very easy to summon this card. We don't have to have a tuner to be able to summon this card out to our side of the field. We can just use a level 4 monster plus one of our level 6 Bestials to be able to summon this card out to our side of the field. And when you use light and dark to make this card, it has some really insane abilities. It spot removes a card off the field and banishes it, which is insane when it's summoned to your side of the field. And if you use light monsters, then synchro monsters you control are unaffected by monster effects activated by your opponent. If you use dark monsters, monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle. We then play a single copy of Dingirsu because we can basically just summon this card and send a card our opponent controls to the grave. 1 copy copy of number 97. We summon out this card so we can OTK, because you can give your opponent a kaiju and then summon this card to your side of the field, and then once you do, you can either summon number 38 as a spell negate, or summon number 100 to summon it as a 9,000 attack point monster, which is insane to be able to do. We then play a single copy of Typhon. Typhon's just good as an option to be able to make in the deck. Basically, it's just a I can summon this card if I need to kind of option. It is skill drain for 3,000 or higher attack points, which is a little bit bad for the deck, but it's okay, because this card is just an option you can summon if you need to summon it to your side of the field to help us make a copy of Zeus on the follow-up, which is really nice because Zeus is a board wipe to be able to help us go in for games. So that's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a Blackluster Soldier deck before, you should definitely give this deck a try, because it's a crazy powerful deck. It's really fun to be able to summon out our copies of Blackluster Soldier in all of its awesome forms. So that's gonna do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.